Welcome to NOLA, gent. Let the good times roll.
So it is with rather a heavy heart that I learned the news on Monday, March 2nd, that Bon Ton Cafe, the first really Cajun influenced restaurant that opened in New Orleans, will be closing on Friday, March 5th, as it's been purchased. The current owners report that the buyer does plan to reopen again later in 2020 after an extensive remodel. Whether the restaurant will be anything remotely like it is now will have to be seen. Past experience with most restaurants, situations like this doesn't give us a great deal of confidence that things will remain the same. But we'll hold a little hope that maybe there will be some continuation. The employees of the restaurant didn't even find out about the closing until the day after Mardi Gras on February 26th, Wednesday. So this has all been very sudden and last minute. So we literally had a very short window of time to get our last little bit of Bon Ton in there. So we're going to explore what we can and eat as much of the menu as possible. The Bon Ton Cafe is the third oldest restaurant behind Antoine's and Two Jacks, as it opened in 1877. So this is going to be a very tenuous time for us with one of the third oldest restaurants closing down so suddenly. And we're also looking at Two Jacks also in for a big move later in the fall. So lots of changes with some of our oldest and most cherished restaurants ahead. So in honor of Bon Ton Cafe, it is worthy to offer up a toast of a little Balvenie single malt scotch. Here is to you, Bon Ton, for all of the memories that we've had and we hope to have again. Cheers.
Before news of the impending closure broke, typical experience at Bon Ton was a rather more peaceful and easy to get into experience, where you would simply walk in and easily get a table for your lunch or dinner. After news of the impending closing broke, the lines grew greatly every day of the week until the closing. Dinner reservations were completely filled. So the only possibility was to stand in line at lunch, and getting there at least by 10 a.m. was your best bet if you wanted to get in. I managed to get in twice at lunch that week.
They would attract you as a felony theft. Yeah, you're not worth it.
Other than Galatoire's on a Friday lunch, it is rare that New Orleans folks will stand in line at a restaurant. So if you see such a thing, there's probably something special going on. When finally getting to the door and getting inside, there was still a little bit of a wait. The staff was hard at work taking care of all of the customers, and it's definitely a very hectic situation inside. There's also the sad realization that this is the last time we're going to see this restaurant looking like this. So, while waiting for our table to get ready, it's time to head to the bar and grab a drink. And the bar is very busy, as there's plenty of other folks also waiting to get to their table. And it's a great time to notice things like the riverboat impression here. I'd never really noticed it before, so it's an important thing to remember. So I'm going to order a brandy milk punch and the signature drink of Bon Ton, their secret recipe, Rum Ramsay.
The tip is mine, so there's no rush on this if you want to roll it. The tip is mine. Okay, that's what
I have to say, I've never seen a brandy milk punch made with coffee creamer before, but apparently it works. So another idea to add to the repertoire.
And rum Ramsey, please.
Made by the gallon. Nice.
Pre-made, ready to go.
I don't even know what it is.
It's a secret magical recipe. We'll never know.
That's right.
Nobody gets to know.
If the bartender doesn't even know what's on the rum Ramsey, I guess it will remain a mystery. So the seats are finally available and we've gotten menus. Let's check it out. The Bon Ton Cafe in downtown New Orleans. The flickering gas lights and canvas canopy that announce the entrance to the Bon Ton Cafe are the first hints to an experience in dining that has almost vanished in our fast-paced lives. Housed in the historical 1840s Natchez building, within earshot of boat whistles on the Mississippi, its checkered red and white tablecloths, wrought iron chandeliers, and soft brick walls create an atmosphere to enjoy Cajun food prepared stylishly from original family recipes. Combined with the down-home friendliness of the staff, dining at the Bon Ton often becomes an event long remembered. Originally opened in the 1900s, it has long been a favorite of local dining connoisseurs. After a brief recess, Al and Alzina Pierce came to New Orleans in the early 1950s from their home along the bayous of South Louisiana and reopened the Bon Ton. With them came recipes that their families had created while living deep in the Cajun country of Lafourche and Terrebonne parishes. Armed with these recipes, they opened one of the first restaurants in New Orleans to challenge the city's renowned Creole cooking with authentic Cajun cuisine that depends heavily on foods from Louisiana's bayous and the Gulf of Mexico. Once found only in the kitchens along those bayous, dishes such as crawfish etouffee, crawfish bisque, shrimp and oyster jambalaya now appeared on a restaurant table. Other Bon Ton specialties made with lump crab meat, oysters, crawfish, and soft-shell crabs began to pamper New Orleans diners, one of the world's most critical group of gourmets. Adding to the nostalgia of Cajun lore are two specialties of the house prepared as only the Bon Ton knows how, its famed rum Ramsey cocktail, adapted from a recipe handed down from the early 1900s and known only to the owners, and its bread pudding with whiskey sauce that is so delicious it verges on being wicked. Today, the tradition started by Al and Alzina Pierce continue under their nephew, Wayne Pierce, who trained under them, and his wife, Debbie. Since 1967, Wayne and Debbie have guarded those traditions so well, they've gained recognition of the Bon Ton by many international culinary societies and have been covered extensively in gourmet, travel, and leisure publications and in newspaper columns. Restaurant critics are amazed that the Bon Ton maintains its great popularity, though it is only open Monday through Friday for lunch from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m., and for dinner with reservations strongly recommended from 5 p.m. until 9:30 p.m. Exceptions are made on weekends for private parties scheduled in advance. The Bon Ton's ambience and cuisine flow from the uncrushable joie de vivre of the Cajun people. When they were thrown into bitter exile from their homes in maritime Canada, they found themselves cast away in desolate wilderness along the bayous of what is now Louisiana. Instead of languishing, they snapped back to a cheerful life and used their native courage and initiative to turn the humble foods the wilderness offered into one of the world's most delightful cuisines. So let's take a look at the actual food menu now and look at what the options are. So to start, we have turtle soup, shrimp and crab okra gumbo, crawfish bisque, bayou jambalaya, tidbits of fried freshwater catfish with Alzina special sauce, fried crawfish tails with Alzina special sauce. Then going to the entrees, we have crab meat imperial, crab meat au gratin, several types of fish. And then we get into the hand-broiled Louisiana shrimp, shrimp etouffee, fried Louisiana shrimp, fried crawfish tails, Alzina special sauce, crawfish etouffee, parsley buttered rice, crawfish bisque, parsley buttered rice, crawfish jambalaya, the crawfish dinner with etouffee, jambalaya, laurier, and omelet, fried Louisiana oysters, cocktail sauce, homemade tartar sauce, oysters Alvin with the rice, pan-broiled oysters, fried Louisiana soft-shell crab, soft-shell crab Alvin topped with crab meat, and then we have some steaks with ribeyes, veal rib chop, and some fillets. And our vegetables are potatoes, or onion rings, or a vegetable of the day, and then various desserts. So, some nice options here. The menu selections have been made, and it's time to put our order in, and you'll see what we get. Bon-Ton does put real butter on the table. That's a big bonus. I don't like places that use the margarine or otherwise fake, not butter. And every visit in the past had included bread on the table. For some reason, the week of their closing, they did not provide bread on the table. Salads were, however, provided as usual. And the house dressing is quite good. Here is the seafood gumbo. There's a lot of nice shrimp and okra in here. So this is like we've got a loaded down seafood gumbo. It does need a little Tabasco sauce. Now that's much better tasting there. Let's try a big bite. This is good stuff. And just a little more Tabasco to finish off the gumbo. The turtle soup au cherry has arrived.
There you go.
And as I put the sherry into the soup, or I forgot to take the cork out. Well, let's try that again with the cork out. There we go. Now for the first taste.
Now, Zach, you film him having a bite. Yeah, because I can't see. I feel like he knows how to do it.
Very nice.
It'll never be the same. You know.
There's just nothing quite like a good turtle soup.
I just find that shocking that they did
The crawfish bisque has arrived with a little boiled egg on top and chock full of lots and lots of crawfish. If you look at the red thing there, that's a stuffed crawfish head. Plenty of crawfish tails right here. The crawfish bisque is quite a delicious treat, and it's rather rare on restaurant menus in New Orleans, as it is a rather challenging dish to make. So we will certainly miss this dish from Bon-Ton. Now it's time for some crispy, delicious onion rings. These onion rings are simply perfect with no greasiness or sogginess. Just delicious, crispy, wonderful perfection. The oysters Alvin. Some very delicious fried oysters.
What do you think that unique flavor is? Beef broth? It's got to be beef bouillon. Beef bouillon. With a touch of maybe Liam Perry? What do you think that is?
Many people hold the opinion that the crab meat au gratin at Bon Ton is the best in the entire New Orleans area.
I signed off my waiver. Don't let any go to waste.
Oh no, not at all. Oh, we had that last time. That was good.
Yes, that is always good too. That's one of the favorites. Look at Marie. These two are my favorites. The oysters Alvin and the crab meat au gratin. Take a couple of those.
Onion rings are good.
Like that. Zoom in. Zoom in, Shannon. It's perfect. Thank you.
The crawfish etouffee seemed to be the most popular dish being ordered, as folks wanted to have one last sample of this delicious dish. During past meals at Bon Ton Cafe, I really enjoyed the Gulf fish smothered and grilled oysters. This visit, I decided to go with the red fish Bon Ton, which is smothered in crawfish sauce.
That's good.
It's a very short meeting. Is anything substantial? 5 weeks tomorrow.
Here is the crawfish dinner. So going from left to right, we have the crawfish omelet, the crawfish lorry, the crawfish jambalaya, and at the bottom, the crawfish etouffee.
I mean, if I had to, you know what I already ate off of this. Oh, this is so good. It is. We get the best better burgers over here. We are. Oh, yum.
A toast is being called. Let's see what it is.
We were regulars here at the Bon Ton for over 40 years. My table happens to be a bunch of guys that were affiliated with the oil and gas business. This became our cafeteria. This is where we made all our deals to get our wells drilled when our companies decided to send their money to water to drill oil and gas. But anyway, Wayne, and I don't know, Debbie, where Wayne is, but we wanted to have everybody toast you and Wayne for a wonderful.
Probably up in his business office. Sometimes he's a little overwhelmed. He's across the street. But thank you all so much. We appreciate that.
So a great one last toast at Bon Ton, which could only mean one thing. It's time for dessert. I'm going with the strawberry sherbet and a coffee. So the checks arrived for one of my meals. It was $54.55 before tip. And for the other one, it was $55.38. And maybe I might have fooled a few of you out there thinking that it was all one big meal at one time. But it was two separate meals. Our waitress Joy gave us a couple of little extra lagniappes to say goodbye with giving us the recipe for the Bon Ton salad dressing. And she also gave us the bread pudding and whiskey sauce recipe. So some nice little extra bonuses. Now comes the really hard part of having to leave for the last time. Looking around at all of the fun, joy, and happiness still being had here is a very hard thing to do. Looking around one last time at the paintings, decorations, the people that made this place what it was. A fantastic, wonderful experience that will never be just like this ever again. So, one last view as we say goodbye to all the people, things, and the energy of life that kept this place what it was. All good things to you, Bon Ton Cafe. May we meet again sooner than later. Even the bathroom is good to see one last time before we make our final goodbye. Looking out of the swinging doors out into the dining room as we head on out through the door one last time. Looking back at the small memories and things that made this such a very special place for such a very long time. And as I walked out the door, there were still people waiting and hoping for the chance to get in for their last experience in Bon Ton. And I hope they got it. Part of my mind will always be trapped in this moment of time, remembering this last moment with all of its emotions, the energy, the celebration, and most assuredly, the flavors of the food. Thank you so much, Bon Ton Cafe. If you would like to follow me on Yelp, I have thousands of pictures and reviews on there. You can also follow me on Instagram for more photos. And please like this video and subscribe to the NOLA channel. We would also love it if you would help us out on Patreon and help the channel continue to have more content produced. Thank you very much.